go ahead and call the August 6th South Bristol School Board regular meeting to order. We have a roll call of Christian Coates, Sandy McPhee, Sarah Mitchell, Warren Storch, and Jonathan Swall. I'd also like to introduce our new superintendent, Todd Sanders. And we will go ahead and stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we did make an adjustment to the agenda to add an executive session at the end of the meeting. Are there any other agenda adjustments? Any public comment? No? Okay. We'll start. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I do want to
Yeah.
we talked about it. I just chatted with the board chairs. Obviously, this is my first meeting with you all, so I met with the chair to do the agenda. So if there's anything that you see that you want from me that you're not getting as far as agenda design or materials for meetings and things of that nature, obviously, I'll be talking very closely with the board chair about that. But if there's anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. We thought it might be a good idea just if I share who I am, so you know who you're dealing with. Some of you were more involved in the hiring process than others, but this is my 35th year in public school education. Started 2 years in Rockland, back right out of college, as a teacher at the elementary level. After that, I went 7 years at Wales Central School, which is a little tiny K-8 school in RSU4. The building is no longer in existence. They've closed that school since then, but I spent 7 years there as a teaching K-8. After that, I went 5 years at Medina Valley High School, so I got to teach at high school level for 5 years. And then I made the decision to go into administration, so I went back to Rockland, ironically enough, for 4 years as an assistant principal athletic director at the middle level. Spent 11 years after that at Gardner Regional Middle School as a middle school principal. 4 years after that as the superintendent of schools in MSA 58, which is up near Sugarloaf, Kingfield, that area. Spent last year in RSU 16, which is the Poland School District, and now here I am. So I quite a bit of experience in public school education. Looking forward to learning the AOS system. Peter's been helping me along the way, as have the board chairs. So I'm very supportive and appreciative of that, and I'm just looking forward to serving you all. So you will see me in schools, or you will at least hear that I've been in schools. I think it's important for me to be visible and to be out in the communities in which I represent. So I will spend time in the schools. I will schedule at least once a month, definitely, because I will schedule a meeting with the building administrators, so that I'm in their buildings definitely once a month. But I will ask them to let me know of any activities, events going on, because, as I said, I just think it's important to interact with community members and be involved in what the students are doing. And I also get into classrooms because I think it's important for me to see what the teachers are doing. I do plan on visiting the select board, just to introduce myself to them as well. I know we do have a meeting coming up where there's going to be select boards from all the towns at a presentation that's going to happen. And you probably will speak to that, Peter, in a little bit. But I do want to get out and just introduce myself to those individuals as well, so they have a face to go along with the name. And I always try to communicate with them well, especially in budget times, things of that nature, when there are anything that might be, they might get feedback from or questions from their constituents about. So I try to make sure that I keep them apprised as well. You do a pretty good job of that down here as well. So, yeah. So I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments or more candy. Or...
How far's your commute?
How far's my commute? Well, right now I currently reside in Freeport. So from Freeport to the central office is about a 47-minute commute, depending on traffic. You may wonder why I left Poland after 1 year. I'm in a relationship, and my partner lives in Newcastle. So I'm spending considerable more time there over the last 2 years. So I've been spending quite a bit of time down here anyways. So the commute from here to Poland was about an hour and 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. So when the position opened, it seemed right. And I think, I don't know if I shared with you, I may have shared with the interview committee, but I actually have had an interest in this district for a while. I did apply for a superintendent position when I was first getting into the superintendency, which would have been probably 2 superintendents ago. Yeah. So I did actually apply, and I did a little tour of the district, so I had an idea of where these schools were and what they were like. So it's not like it's just there has been an interest in the mid-coast area that I've had for a while. So just things lined up, and I was fortunate enough to be offered the position, and I'm looking forward to the changes are challenging that we're facing, but I think change is probably just an opportunity for some good things to happen. So I'm optimistic.
Great, great.
Well,
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think we should just do a quick little introduction too. And then I'm Sarah Mitchell. I had 2 boys go through South Bristol, and now I have 2 boys at Lincoln Academy. We're just down on the island here, and been on the school board for too long, but in a couple of years you won't see me anymore. So.
That me. Sandy McPhee. I'm also a parent. I have a 2nd grader and an incoming pre-care. I'm also the treasurer tax collector for the town, so I have my claws in all kinds of corners around here. And this is my 3rd year on the school board.
Jonathan Swall, also known as Javier. I keep pretending to be retired, but people just won't let me do it. The hospital calls, Sarah calls, the folks on my street call. So I have a bunch of little hobby jobs, and this is one of them, I guess.
And puppies.
And now I have puppies, yeah. Gosh, I'm really tired.
Puppies by design, or did they just?
Yeah, no, we bred them. It's a long story.
Okay.
Bred a purebred Chinook, which is a dog, New Hampshire dog. But yeah, I'm just really tired. We've got a 6th grader, and I have one young lady who is starting Lincoln Academy, and she graduated from this good school with a great experience all the way around. So I'm very happy to see this school continue.
I'm Warren Storch. I'm the newest member of the school board, a couple of months, so I just listen. My wife and I have lived in Maine for 20 years, and we own the Walpole Barn, kind of a business up on Route 129. And I have adult children, and I've got grandchildren who are in primary school, but in Colorado. I've always been interested in how things operate at school. I was a 6th grade teacher right out of college. Didn't last very long. And I think the South Bristol School is a very special place.
I'm Christian Coates. I've got 2 girls here at South Bristol.
Thank you.
And I think as we get used to working together with Lori and everybody, we'll discover some new things that will fit really well into our meetings and how we run the school board. And then we'll just learn from each other, and they'll kind of just evolve as we go along.
Yeah, and speaking of changes, I should say, I have asked the requested, I've empowered, I guess. I've empowered building administrators to take minutes for me at meetings, because it's just too hard to be focused completely on the meeting and trying to capture everything that happens. The assistant superintendent that you had previously was the designated minute taker at meetings, and obviously that position no longer exists. So I have requested, demanded, I don't know which is the best term, that the building administrators take minutes. So that'll be a little learning curve. Minutes aren't the easiest thing to take. So if you ever have to ask, can you repeat whether the motion was, or if you repeat who made the motion? Because I know I have to look and type. I can't do the whole observing and typing. So don't hesitate to just ask who made the motion, who seconded it, and what the vote was. We just want to make sure we get that right. So, and as far as the recording goes, I know that was done previously by, I believe Lindsay did it. So that will probably be another thing that I'll try to pass off to the building administrators to get that done. So we have our administrative retreat next week, so I think I've done a pretty good job of tipping my hand to them as far as that goes, but we'll be talking about it in more detail next week. So thank you.
I don't mind being a guinea pig.
I
I'm
appreciate it.
okay. Do it.
Much appreciated.
Yes, of course.
All right.
Are we your first board meeting?
No, I've had we have a Bristol one in July, but that was a quick one. That was a special one. Last night was the first, I guess you would say, monthly meeting. That was we had 3 executive sessions. We were there for 2.5 hours. It was up in Jefferson. So that was my first. So this is technically my 2nd monthly meeting. And that was no fault of the Jefferson board. There was just a lot of stuff that we had to talk about last night.
I'll start off with the first motion. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from all 4 of these meetings.
Second.
Okay. Is there discussion? The one thing I had, and I meant to get this to Linda before she went on vacation, but for the last meeting that we had, Sandy, you were here and Warren wasn't, or was it the other way around?
The July meeting, I was not here.
For the middle school teacher?
Yeah. I
Okay,
was
all
not
right,
here.
sorry, so then I got that backwards, and so that is right. That's all
It's
set.
okay, is it?
Yep, it's all okay. Is there anything else?
Do you want in the future then put into one motion? Because sometimes
So
it
we
may be
usually
an
don't
issue
have
with
them,
one of them.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
we don't
usually we
usually
don't have
have
this many. We don't
Okay.
usually meet in July because it's right around the 4th.
Okay.
So I think that's why we have kind of a lot. Okay, all those in favor? One, good. Yep, cool. All right, so moved.
Can you just cut and paste that?
The next regular meeting of the South Bristol School Board will be held on September 3rd, 2024. The next regular meeting AOS Board will be on September 10th, 2024 at Noble Royal
It
Central
will not
School.
be an
If
overall
not,
central school.
okay.
Where there were two calendars, this is another thing.
No, we're kind of used to this.
There were two
'cause there's
calendars
cut and
going
paste and
around.
a lot,
Yep.
so is it
It's gonna be the central office.
okay,
And then
So-
what I will do is, apparently, and I understand why they would have done this, for a while, they were traveling around
Yeah,
to different schools. I think that's important for the
AOS
district
September
board to
10th.
see
Yep.
them all the buildings, but at this point, we're gonna go back to the central office, and then I will meet with them, and I will ask them what their preference is as far as locations, but it will be at the central office, not at.
So there's not an AOS meeting next week?
There is not, they're not meeting in the month of August.
and
Can I just ask, we heard this yesterday, a couple of, why don't the AOS board members know that there's a meeting?
I don't know.
I think it would just be, there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the last couple of months that hasn't, I mean, it's been hard with new
I will,
superintendents, old
I will send
superintendents,
something out to
principals
them.
and stuff.
Yeah, it's probably a good.
And Christian, as far as Nail's report, I don't know what, I mean, after we hired him, have you had meetings in July?
No.
Okay, so there's no
There's no
93
update.
report, that's what I didn't
There's no
expect one, but
AOS update as far as I'm concerned.
okay, all right, so we don't have an AOS 93 report, but we will we won't next time because you won't have not yet, but in October, we'll have an update as well. Okay, superintendent's report.
There's really not much to report out at this point. What I did was when I met with the chairs of the board, I just asked them, what would you like to have? I'm not sure what past, I watched some of your meetings, but is there anything specific that you want to hear in my superintendent reports? So moving forward, we talked about it. Obviously, anything that's related specifically to South Bristol, I'll bring to you. Transition update, successes and challenges. I can tell you right now that I think it's been a pretty smooth and successful transition into the district. There's a lot going on, as was just stated. But I have to express my appreciation for the board chairs, for the building administrators, for central office staff, and getting me up to speed as quickly as they can with the stuff that's going on with the current changes, because we've had significant changes in central office staffing. We're migrating to a different software system, which has created some issues for us. But they've done a great job of bringing me up to speed, so I have a pretty good grasp of where we are right now. Still, there's a lot to learn. It takes a while to really get your claws, if you will, into things, so that I have a complete understanding of things. But I continue to work on that. But I do have to say that there have been successes. I know that we don't always hear the positive either. So if there are challenges and there are things, well, it'd be smoke. It mirrors if it's not positive. So as I face challenges and things, I will let you know that. One challenge that we have faced, and Peter and I have talked about several times, there were contracts and things of that nature were not received by staff when they should normally would have been. I shouldn't say should have been. I'm gonna say normally would have been. I think a lot of it was that transition to different software, transition in staffing. But that's something, as we move forward, I will definitely make a priority to make sure that the correspondences that need to get out in the timely manner that they should. Because I know there was some frustration. People didn't have assurances of jobs, they didn't have contracts. And that obviously can be frustrating if you're going into the month of June and July, wondering what the fall holds in store for you. So I've been in communication with association reps and shared that with them. So that'll be something as we move forward to make sure that we stay on top of it. Other than that, You know, it's been a whirlwind. It's been fast and furious, but it's been, I can say that I'm very happy with the choice I made to join well, so. That'll be my goal to keep saying that.
I wrote, they called it the honeymoon phase, sir.
There is a honeymoon phase.
Yeah, the 2 names
And
are big
I know
enough.
that, I do realize that, but I'm gonna enjoy the honeymoon. Speaking of, my daughter just got married this past weekend, by the way, right in Florence, so, speaking of honeymoons, you just took me down memory lane there, but, I will, I'm gonna hold on to that feeling as long as I can.
How many regularly scheduled meetings do you have to have?
With the boards?
Right.
I will have 5.
That's better than 7.
It's better than
That's
7.
better than 9.
It's better than that.
Okay.
I will have all 3 of the 4 of the towns that are still in this side of the AOS 93 side, and then I will have the AOS 93 board meeting. And any other subcommittees that boards have. Some boards have some subcommittees, some don't. But if there are any, we talked about the reconfiguration committee, that Bristol and South Bristol are engaged in. I'd like to be part of those. So being out, I coached a bunch of varsity sports. Being out late at nights is not a concern to me. So I want to be involved in as much as I can, and be as knowledgeable as I can.
And I know that the building administrators are gonna meet, they meet as a team, they meet with you, but I'd just like you to kind of keep your eyes open too for opportunities that you might notice at other schools that might help us out. Like, I mean, just little things like we budgeted a certain amount for some special ed transportation, which makes perfect sense, but there are other schools that are doing that transportation a little bit differently. And so anytime like you see a situation in another school, whether it's a big school and not as much like us or not, if you can pass that along, it's always kind of helpful to see as many options as we can.
And that's not just within the district. Peter and I have actually
Right,
talked
right.
about that. Some of the things I've seen in other districts that I've been in, and I have been in several other districts, there might be some things that I've seen in those other districts that we can bring here and replicate here. Again, I'm not one to come in and try to stop making a
No,
whole set of
right,
changes
yeah,
here and
no.
here, but there's always
Sometimes.
better ways to do things.
Yeah, and Peter, we've benefited from Peter's experience at other districts for the same reason, so,
Peter and I speak daily,
yeah, okay.
At least.
at least.
Okay, great. Principal Stiles?
So you all have my report, but I'll just summarize. Summer school has been absolutely fantastic. I love seeing kids run in and out. They're having a great time. We always have an administrator here in order to help out because sometimes they need it, and that's okay and wonderful. Peter and I have been meeting regularly every Monday for sometimes 2.5 hours because I keep asking questions. But it's been great to help me wrap my head around the budget and get prepared for what is going to come in December. So good. I sent out a survey to the pre-kindergarten through 5th grade parents, and there is a definite need for our after-school program. And it needs to be built up and it needs to be robust. There needs to be some changes from the previous year. So that's what I've been working on with the help of the Tier 3 team. They've been wonderful. And I will reach out to parents again just to get any more information that they may have or they may want. The PFAS journey has been not fast and furious at all. But Mark, Shane, Chuck Appleby, Peter McGrady, and the selectmen have met and have discussed next steps. We're waiting on the state right now to approve a permit to drill a well. So we're almost there. 5 of the teachers went to Cape Cod for incredible learning experience, and they're going to share that in our professional development days because there's so much each of the other teachers could learn from them. And then our 8th graders continue to work hard and take care of the bottle shed and sell lobster rolls and boat tickets to make money for DC. Any questions? Great. Did I miss anything? I want feedback, not right now. Email me, Christian.
All right, thank you. Finance report.
So are you optimistic about the after-school program?
I am. I was here quite a bit last year for it, and I know what it needs, and I know that we will get there. We will get there. It'll be fantastic for the kids and the parents. And we have at least 18 parents who are interested in using the program. Sometimes it's occasionally, sometimes it's most days of the week. Some are until 4 o'clock, some are until 5 o'clock. I think I need to open up 5:30 for those people who get out at 5, but I'm prepared to do that. I'm ready. I just wanted to kind of get the parameters first.
Good, okay.
And I think another just interesting add-on to that is I think the Y has really tuned into all the needs of the district schools, and so they're looking at doing programming a little bit earlier. So if kids do get off the bus at the Y, that there's a place for them to go, whether it's tennis or dance or whatever. So I think it'll be a great combination.
Yeah, thanks. Agree.
All right, finance report, Burns Fund. So I think I can start off by saying that
Sorry.
through conversations with the Burns Fund, Lori's been working on the budget with Peter, I'm sure, and we've hit close to 100,000 for the last couple of years for the Burns Fund, and that was the cap that they put on. And they know that, obviously, with rising school costs, that's not always going to suit all of our needs. So we've talked about, what point is the tipping point that the Burns Fund can no longer meet our needs with that $100,000 suggested target. So I talked with them, and they agreed that we can put in a proposal for up to $125,000. So that, for the most part, hit our needs. We're still about 5,000 over, but the one piece that I have talked to Lori about taking out of the Burns Fund is our Artist in Residence program at the end of the year, because I have a donor who gave $25,000 right at the end of COVID, who is the arts are very important to that foundation. So I think that provided that's all right, we can see if that donor would be interested in funding the Artist in Residence program at the end of the year. And that way we'll hit all our needs of about 130,000. And that does include should I hit on these?
Was that what I would normally do? Sorry.
No, it's separate. It's separate, because this is but feel free to add on when I'm done, because this isn't, we talked about this, but she's been she knows a lot more about this than I do. So you all received the budget. There was a little bit of a hiccup because of summer vacations. But you'll see like the after school program has increased a little bit. That's because of Lori's brilliant idea to have 2 staff members from 2:35 to 3:30 to not only mentor, but just to be that second person when the majority of the kids are there. Because some kids will get picked up a little bit earlier, so the numbers will go down.
And this is also a staff member who knows how to write lesson plans and schedule a 15-minute activity and a 20-minute outside time, and very, very scheduled, which is exactly what the program needs. And then should I add about our Bristol, South Bristol?
Yeah, that's
Part of the adjustment of the Burns Fund, what we were asking for is because I would really like to see our chorus and band students have the opportunity to travel to Bristol 1 day a week for chorus or band, and have the Bristol kids travel to us. In doing that would be far too expensive through First Student. However, it could be manageable with renting a van for the year. And the chorus and band teacher over there taught our kids last year. She would love for that to happen. They just needed her more, and they could give her full time and we could not. So she would love to see our kids go over there, and then our pre-K to 5 students would have another music teacher, sorry.
So would that be like, would that be elective for the older kids?
It is. Yep.
Elective for the older kids, but mandatory for the younger kids.
Yes, the in-house. So we had been doing chorus 5th grade to 8th grade. However, I'm uncomfortable with our 5th grade. It's just a young age, and so I like to keep them in the building as opposed to traveling. I do plan on going or having one of the teachers go. Not a teacher, am I? Most of the time, just especially in the beginning. But I feel like I'd like 5th grade to stay right here in the building, and then as they get a little older, then they'll jump into that chorus and band piece. But yes, it is elective.
So we have an advertisement for pre-K 5 music teacher up for,
We do not yet, because Jen and I were waiting for Caitlin to get back from her honeymoon.
another honeymoon.
We talk every day,
No, it's great.
but many times a day, actually. It would be wonderful if we could fill Caitlin's schedule,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
we would be asking for a 1 day a week music teacher for pre-K to 5.
And that also includes either a rental or a leased van. So we're getting the numbers on that.
I have the numbers on the rental,
Okay, yeah, the lease.
and the lease. I'm trying really hard to find a van like this, by the way.
Yeah.
But I have a guy on the board who's working on putting his feelers out to the rest of the New England area right now. And he said, realistically, you really need to think about a rental for this year because you're asking me too late. But if you think you want a lease or to buy next year, now is the time you need to ask me. So if something pops up, we will try to lease something. But if it doesn't, we have a plan in the works next year.
And then who would be the driver for that?
Good question. It's not a CDL type thing, it's just a van, so
So
it
teacher.
would be a teacher, and most of what I'm hoping, is that it could be Caitlin. She is happy to do it. So if kids are coming here, then I would get the van over there somehow, but I will figure it out.
But the van would serve a host of other purposes.
Oh, yes.
And any of the teachers with the driver's license could drive.
Any of the teachers with a driver's license can drive the van. And we always have at least 2 teachers on any field trip. So
And
there's enough variety of people who are willing to drive it that nobody's going to feel obligated to drive it.
this would preclude teachers needing to put kids in their own cars.
That would eliminate that completely.
This is like a 15
That's great.
passenger, like one of those transits.
It's
Um,
9.
Looking at 9 right now. Would I like
You
2,
can't go
9?
15.
Yeah,
You're not allowed to use it.
yeah.
Too big?
So, and the other thing, I mean, she included these savings, but the savings, the financial savings and the environmental cost and just everything of, sending 7 kids this year to Bath every Friday.
Yeah.
In a van versus a full-size
Absolutely.
bus. I mean, we've
That's
been talking
huge,
about this forever. And that was another conversation that I had with Burns Fund, because they are not, again, they don't buy buildings and things like that.
Yeah.
So this idea is not new. It's been talked about, but they are now willing to talk as a board amongst themselves about the idea of leasing or renting a van. And so renting is perfect for this year, I think, and then I think leasing is better. It's just so we can say, okay, weekly trips to the boat shop, trips to Darling Center, trips to Bristol, and then we can just show them the savings.
Yeah.
Because it happened 10 or 15 years ago and the van wasn't used well, not by the school, by the, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great way to start out, and hopefully Burn sees it that way too, but I think they will.
We've also had, one class has gone to the Darling Center 20-ish times.
Yeah.
And another class has never been since they were in 3rd grade, and they would really like to go. And if we have a van like that, they could go, and yes, they could. I'm just thinking about the size of the classes, but
Great.
it would give us more opportunity. The Darling Center wants us to go there. They've been coming here to grow kelp, but they would love for us to go to them.
And I think the ideal is to, the ideal is 2 vans. So
Yes,
that's the goal, but
that would be
I'm
mine.
not sure when we get there.
Is there a ballpark figure for the cost of the lease?
Yes. Oh, I have a purchase. I don't have a ballpark for the lease. I only have a purchase.
A purchase is good.
It's 60.
60.
60.
There are others. I mean, we can go up to 105.
No,
Some
you're
guy
good.
tried to sell me that the other day. I was like, this is still a school. We're not going there, but thank you. So, yes.
And the rental for 11 months is 16.5 approximately. That number might change a little bit, but we'll see.
May have also found out that it's $9.99 to rent a minivan through the same company for, if we do 10 months or more, $9.99 a month, so.
And that's as many as
$1,000.
6 kids. Yes. Oh, okay.
It would be supplemental.
Yep.
I'm thinking about that because I'm thinking ahead about.
15 and then you get 15 kids on the road.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Mhm.
so but for Burns, that's what we put in.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that stands out? Where do we land on DC? We pay for the DC reps travel and then we pay for 1.5 DC,
We-
DC rep stipend and then an assistant DC rep stipend?
That's a change that I put in. I would really like it to be staff members going on the trip, at least 2 staff members. If parents go. But I think being down there myself, I felt very relieved when I had 2 staff members there with me. So I added a smaller stipend for another adult who would go on the trip, but not necessarily do all the work or have the responsibility of that lead person.
And I think that will lead to discussion about our kind of trip policies.
Mhm.
We talked about it once, but didn't end up making that change to have
Yes,
2 adults, and I think that is
Yeah,
important.
I-
So
really
we have to put that on our list.
prefer that.
Are there any other questions about the Burns proposal?
Yes, will we be budgeting on the Burns Fund being available to us in FY '26?
Yes.
So we heard it said that it won't be here forever, but how much forecast will we have when it's gonna go away?
We will get plenty.
2-3 years, 2 years?
I don't know, but they're funding, I mean, they've upped our funding,
Mhm.
and they have conversations with all the people that they give money to regularly.
So we shouldn't expect to get in a situation where we just get a 1-year notice.
Peter and I have been talking about it because I ask him a million questions. And I just wondered if it was time to start putting some of those items in the budget or not.
Well, I think this year has shown us that we need to. I mean, I think that I can cover the artist in residence program with a very simple ask, and that won't be a problem, but I don't think that we certainly can't expect that it goes up $25,000 a year.
No.
So I think that expecting it to stay about the same for the next couple of years is reasonable. And I also think that now with new people in administrative positions, that conversation I can switch that conversation over to a conversation between maybe the principal, the board chair, and the Burns Foundation. So I'm not trying to be sneaky when I say things like this, but those are the people, I've been the one that's been talking to them. And Scott in the past was, and then we had a couple of bumps in the road. So I think that they also do not want to pull the rug out from under us, and they're very cognizant of that.
Good.
But I do think that part of it will be maybe putting $5,000 or $10,000 in the FY '26 budget for artists in residence or another van or whatever. So I
where I'm
would
going.
expect a
Travel.
little bit of a very small raise in the next budget cycle.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Is that everything? on Burns?
That's the Burns Fund, right?
Yeah.
So in the general fund,
Oh, wait, can I actually ask a Burns question?
sure.
So, are we okay with the spending from last year?
It'll come into the penny
The bank?
Yeah.
Okay,
because we used it all. And we're gonna, we have to do journal entry to actually
move some out of the general fund to kind of recover that, and we'll just make it to the penny.
Okay, and was that kind of a, was that because of the switchover in reporting systems too, kind of, that we?
Not really, it's just how the year ended. When we do that, we do every fund we balance at the end of the year and reconcile it, so it comes out where it should. At the end of your year, you froze the general fund. And so all the spending got directed to the Burns fund. And that was the only thing you had. We weren't spending anything that was not Burns related. And we got some bills in, Laurie and I went through it and looked at it. And there were some end of the year residencies. And we got a lot more bills than what we had paid for purchase orders. So I approve purchase orders. I don't approve expenses that I don't know about.
That makes sense. No, that's, I knew that, I knew that was, there was
So-
something there.
But it was
and
only a
that's-
couple, $3,000, something like that.
Yeah.
And we can cover that with what we've saved on pathways in the general fund. You know, I'll explain that in a second.
Yeah.
And so we can, when we, and I think we have all the Burns Fund numbers now, we just need to do a journal entry. So I think it was, I'm just estimating, but it was like 106,000. We had budgeted 109,000, came in. We'll take 3,000, put it over in the general fund, and then it'll balance that, and it'll close out the Burns fund that we had for this year. Now, one of the things I'd like to reconcile with the town, if I could get a chance to speak with the treasurer, is that the treasurer has more carryover available to us than what the school thinks we have. But
That's why I was curious about it, because.
So we see a carryover. What I was hearing is that you guys have a carryover in the town budget that's larger than what we believe we have. So from previous years past, several years past. And that's what from the communications with Myra, it seems there's a few extra $1,000, $5,000 more there than what we're aware of. So we might want to try to spend that down sooner rather than later.
13, yeah, you had 13 something, and then we thought it should have been 6.
So there's more, and maybe, I don't know how that.
I don't mean you
There
in
it goes.
particular, the paper that I oversee.
Well, that's why I'm curious, because I know the town's been saying, so like, and one of the things we talked about, I don't know if you were there, if it was after you left, but like, we do want to have a sit down with 2 or 3 selectmen, the town office staff, Peter, Myra, Todd, Lori, and just figure this out for not just Burns, but just like, kind of just get together and talk about communication and talk about anything that has come up, because I think it's, with the switch over the town, it's also like, we just want to all get on the same page.
Maybe
There are a
best
lot of new
practices.
players. Yeah, and we
just
talked
want
about
to
that a
figure out
lot, and then as people started, superintendents and principals left, we didn't do that in the spring. So I think now that we have a full complement in town office and in central office and at South Bristol, it's a good opportunity to do that, and it's just a question of finding time when it works for people's schedules. So I think that's exciting. We have been talking about it for a while and we haven't done it. So I think it's an exciting time to get on the same page with all this stuff. And that said, we set aside Burns Fund because we thought we were going to have a lot of carryover for the gym floor repairs. So if we can figure out if the gym floor repairs have been done or not done, if they haven't been done, we need to figure out how we're going to pay for them. And I don't know, we fixed the art room, which had holes in the floor that was literally a safety risk. And I don't know if the gym floor is at that state or after a couple of basketball games, it will be at that state. So I'm just curious to see when we need to do that for basketball and jump rope and circus arts and all that stuff that we do in there.
Silly question, maybe. That is not something I put in the notes.
No, you didn't.
My notes, I know
Okay.
them.
Yeah, thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
That was pretty fun.
So we have a few years we're working on right now. I want to go backwards. I want to start with next year's budget that we're going to do. Lori and I have actually already started to have communication around everything financial, and it's our intention to keep going until we have a budget, which means we've already started the FY26 budget process, which is one of the reasons why I asked for the Burns Fund, so that as Lori and I continue our work, we should have a a budget, working with the board, not at your next meeting, which is September, but at the one after that, it'd be the first meeting we have the budget. We're gonna divide up the budget process a little bit differently this year, and I still want to talk to Todd about that. But one of the things that's become clear is that if we can deal with staffing in the first meeting and have a clear staffing plan, and this comes out of, what was interesting, and Laurie and I are actually gonna talk a little bit at the admin retreat that we have with the whole AOS about the fruitful nature of our meetings, because working with Laurie and kind of saying, this is what you need to know about finances for a principal, I realized no other principal has ever asked me these questions before. So I've never had the opportunity to say, this is the best way to do it, because we just get in. It's like you move as fast as you can. So it's been really helpful to have this summer time to kind of plan how we're going to approach the budget. But we have, I have some documents that I use with one of the other schools. We're going to use them in all schools. And we'll work in October to set the staffing. That really sets most of the budget, right? But to come in with everything all at once like we've been doing and then talk about this, talk about that, is kind of chaotic in my mind. So in October, we'll set the staffing, and then in November, we'll look at all the other facilities issues and what we're going to put in there for the Burns Fund and sort of all the non-payroll lines, of which there are many, but we'll get to that in November, and then pass the budget in December. That was our goal last year. We didn't quite make it, but I think with working with Laurie this early in advance and this new, more structured ramp up of everything, we can pass the budget in December. And we know that you don't get the 8279
I
number.
was just gonna ask about the 79.
You don't get that number until January, but we have, we get January 25th. I get it. And we have a meeting, we have 6 budgets or 9 budgets to set before March. So, or before June, really May last week. So what we've been doing is we've been doing some ahead of the 8279, and then when the 8279 comes in, we come in and adjust all the revenue numbers. But we have enough predictability about what the 8279 will be, that if we set all these other things, then we can come back and set, plug in the 8279 number, meet with the budget committee, and then go on to the public meeting. So, but this one we do way ahead of all the normal budget scheduling that a school district would do that only had 1 or 2 budgets.
Well, all the board members know what the 8279 is.
Yes, no, probably more than events.
That's just, it's a state subsidy.
So, beginning in October, Laurie and I will present parts of the budget in a succession of 3 meetings or 2 meetings to get it all together and then 1 to pass it. So if we want to sneak in some additional budget development workshops of any kind to keep the process on schedule, we'll see how we get when we get there. What we did last year, and I'm pretty sure I can't remember everything because there's so many of them, but we invited everybody up to the central office. Did you guys come up for one?
We didn't come up, and we had, I should remember, we had another pressing issue that we took some of that time to talk about, so we didn't have the whole 3 hours and might need more, but, so it was a good first step, but because of some other board stuff that was going on, we didn't give you your full time, so, I think it will work even better this year.
Yep, so
Surprises.
what we've been doing, Todd, is we have a budget development workshop to kind of finish everything. So that would be somewhere, right around, I guess, Thanksgiving time. Try to do it right before Thanksgiving, because then you can come back and pass it at your December meeting, which would be the first week of December. So if we can have the October board meeting to look at the staffing budget, the November to look at all other non-payroll lines, a budget development workshop to comb through it right around Thanksgiving time, and then pass it at your December meeting, and then wait for the 8279 to confirm all the revenue. That would be that's the goal.
So is there a reason to pass it in, is there a reason to pass it in December versus January? And I'm not saying that much would change between those 2 months. Like, I like the idea of having the budget ready in December, but you never know if kids are moving around or if needs might change. Like, I just don't want to pass it as a board too soon.
What you could
If we're
do
not, because the February meeting will be our.
What we could do is to say December we reach consensus on it.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
And vote on it in really want to vote on it when you get after the 8279 plugged in.
Right.
But what I mean is you don't want to sit there in at January's meeting going back over things you were talking about in October and November.
No, and I agree, and it's because our January meeting is the first Tuesday in January. It's always a mess because I end up trying to communicate with people over Christmas, which I don't want to do, and it's not fair for me to do with you guys too. So December is perfect.
Exactly.
And then we can have our joint meeting at our February meeting
Yeah.
with the budget committee and the selectmen.
And we will be, Todd and myself will be deep into Bristol and Noblesboro's budget the first week of January.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of keep three in your head at one time. So we try to get this one done ahead of all. We also have to get the AOS one passed at a public meeting on or about December 20th.
Well, so that's a piece that will affect our budget too. The share of what we're paying into whatever structure we
Yep. So,
agree on.
but yes, we should have it passed by the AOS board in time for you to, but if you reach consensus on
No, that's,
consensus
I
on
think we're on the
December,
same,
you
we're
can
on the
vote
same
on it
page.
after,
We're on the
a little bit later.
Yep.
But we want to get the work done.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Get the work done, get a consensus on the budget in December, and then tighten it up at the end. Okay, so that's FY26, and we know we have big increases this year. We restructured everything, but by adding the Stratton Fund and the Burns Fund to the revenue this time and showing that, and we'll continue to operate in that way. We also have changes that we anticipate with the restructuring of the AOS, the ESC, et cetera. So it'll be a unique looking budget again. But we're going to do everything we can to keep the increases down. But the CBAs drive that, and there's been some increases there, so we know that that's coming at us. So that's forward look. Where we are right now in this current year, the FY25 budget, we have a couple of warrants behind us, the July warrants, and they don't include any teacher pay or which is 80% of your budget. So all that we have is a little bit of ordering on the non-payroll lines is really all that's getting hit. So there's just been a little bit of expenses. And what we have spent most of our time with the budget and the finance office, the business office doing is making sure it's working right, because it's the first time we've rolled over a prior year into a new fiscal year in Aptifund. There were some bugs in that. They dropped all the budget categories. I had to get them to run a patch for that and to put out a new release so that we could get them working right. Now we're combing through it and we found a few minor lines that were missing that we had to get put in, get it all tweaked up. So what we've been doing, even though there aren't a lot of expenses, is going through it, making sure that it's built properly and can be reported properly. Probably take us quite a bit longer to get reports where we don't have to do manual manipulation of them to be able to share them with you, but we have the numbers in them now. And you've seen some of these, John. I shared them with you. You see how they don't roll up properly at the end and things like that. So we're trying to work with Aptifund to get them to kind of come out better, but we have the ability to manually manipulate them, and we will do so for the September meeting, so you get a clean end of month report for the September meeting on where you are thus far in this current fiscal year. The last fiscal year, while the fiscal year technically ends June 30th, we accrue all the payroll for the teacher contracts all the way through August 16th is the last payroll of FY24. And might be a little counterintuitive, but you're paying out of the FY24 for the whole school year, and the teachers get paid through the summer. So we have to run one more payroll before we're done with FY24. There still may be a bill that straggles in from some vendor that forgot to bill us for something in June until a little late or something. We clean up that stuff. And you never get your June electricity bill paid until the first payroll, first warrant in August anyway. It seems to be the way it kind of rolls. So we'll pay out these things. And then we get, what has to happen here is that we get Pathways and Compass, we get their final payrolls get done, and we get to the penny what we spent in those regional special ed programs, and we're able to then invoice the member schools of those programs, so you expend that. Now the forecast for that is Pathways seems to have come in $200,000 under budget. So that's gonna give you your 1/7 member of pathways. You get 1/7 of that, it'll bump up your fund balance forward. As we were closing the year and doing all the projections, I was projecting your fund balance forward to be about $5,000. Hopefully there's about 20 more there from pathways. And then 3 or 4 less for balance in the Burns Fund. So, my current forecast is I'm hoping you actually end up with 20 instead of 5, but I'm not gonna say, still, it's not gonna be much more than that. But in between 5 and 20 ought to be a fund balance forward by all our projections so far. And I'll have that closed for the September report as well. So in September, we got some good financial information coming forward. And I will put on all the details of, more accurately at that point, but that's where everything stands.
Lori's taking notes, but I'll jump in with the student activities account. We're working on figuring out the best way to do that still. So it hasn't been high on her priorities with all the other stuff that's going on. So we're gonna kind of table that, I think, till next month, just informally.
I think Peter had, nope, just kidding.
So it's one of these weird things that's kind of outside the business office, and we might get some more. I think if Lori has a conversation with Fred Brewer, she might get some guidance, and it'll include boosters as well as some of the other funds like the DC fund, some of the memorial funds that we've been given for performing arts and stuff like that. So it's gonna probably take another year to kind of get that into the exact right shape, see if boosters maybe wants to do a 501c3 or something like that, but they're paying attention to it, and it'll get figured out.
I've gone through the old binders. I know what it used to look like. I know what it should look. I think I know what it should look like. But yeah, it just needs to be cleaned up, and I'm definitely working on that.
Audit update? Is there?
The audit update. So we have 2 audits that we're rolling out in the next, as the summer ends. The FY23 audit, the auditors changed their requirements in the past year and wanted us to get all our reimbursements that we get back from grants. I think, as most of you know, we expend money during the year and then we have to ask for it back through a time-consuming process. And we had lots of ESSER money we had to wait for to come back and ask for. We have that all done now so that we can proceed to get the FY23 audits in motion. And we had the FY24 stuff all done already. So we have the 2 audits ready to roll in the next couple of months. So we should be on schedule with getting all our audits out to the brewers by sometime in mid-September, end of September, which is when we want to be doing the current year. The brewers are backed up. I keep getting things from the DOE saying that the brewers are backed up on their municipal audits and we have to extend those. So the brewers are still working on catching up from their COVID years. And so I can't project when we will have audits back from the auditors because I don't control their schedule. But I'm sharing with you when we have everything ready for them. And but Fred Brewer and I look at, when we get into budgeting, we look very closely at the information that we have, and we've been pretty accurate in projecting safe fund balances forward the last couple of years as Brewer's been behind our schedule to be able to operate. And I don't see any reason why we can't do that again this year if needed, but we'll see how they're doing. I need to check in with them again and find out what their expectations are. I'd like them to get the FY23 ones done in time for our budgets to get passed. I don't anticipate they'll have the FY24 ones done.
Can they do a presentation to the board?
Yes. They've done presentations through the FY22 audits are all done, but not the 23. The next item is something I want to chat with you about. I just asked a clarifying question on the next thing okay. So we learned, we got a call from actually Terry Mitchell in the business office in May, I think it was, that she said that she realized that we were out of compliance with a law that had just passed I guess a year ago. That's says how long you can hold a pay period before you actually pay it out to your staff. So because when the AOS was built, this law didn't exist. So we got in this, the schedule got set for all the payrolls. We were, for whatever reason, it doesn't make any sense to me looking at our operation right now. I don't think it makes any sense to anybody. But the goal was to do all the payrolls on the same day. But we're doing 6 payrolls. So to get them all done and teed up and everything, we were starting them to, in the first part of that 2-week cycle, meaning in South Bristol and Bristol, we're getting done like a week earlier than everybody else. Even though people didn't get paid until the same day as everybody else. So when they tightened up that says you can't hold on to people's money, that statute came out, we were suddenly out of compliance with how fast we paid people. So we need to pay people sooner. So that's convenient because we also don't think it makes any sense that we're doing 6 payrolls on one day, because it stacks and compresses all this insane operation into just a lot of work. And while there's this sort of 36-hour reprieve for the payroll clerk at the end of one, it comes right back on and you got to kind of work. And then the last 2 days, you're sitting there trying to upload all this stuff to the bank. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate the 6 payrolls into 3 each Friday, and they'll kind of leapfrog, which should make the operation at the business office smoother. And it should also put us in compliance with the Bristol and South Bristol schools coming in so late. So we're going to move up Bristol and South Bristol by a week. And we're also going to add GSB to that, so that basically Bristol and South Bristol and GSB, and then Jefferson, Noble Borough, and I always forget the last central office, end up being about an equal amount of people getting paid. And so the plan right now is that this Friday we'll do we have a schedule that breaks up the August 16th payroll into 2 payrolls. So we'll do a payroll this week, actually. And we're just came up with this plan on Monday, the final details on this plan on Monday. So we need to get a letter out to people like tomorrow saying you're going to get paid early, and get that all moving. We also have to coordinate with the town because it's going to throw off your schedule. But we have no real choice on this. It isn't like this is convenient for you. We're breaking the law right now by not paying people properly. So we have to sit down and work out what that's going to mean for how you approve payroll warrants and things like that. So that's an immediate conversation to have. And we're moving forward on that. We have to get it going. We need to get it going for we're about to shift contracts on the following payroll. So we promised Terry Mitchell and the associations we'd be in compliance by the time we begin that next payroll. So we can't really wait and figure it out slowly. We have to just jump on.
So Lori and I are going to the second on Thursday. Are there dates that we can tell them they need to approve warrants? Because they'll be approving 2. Did you say they have to approve like
2 weeks in a row.
1 week? Like in 2 weeks in a row?
Yes. So I have all these details, and it's a long plan. It's written out narrative with schedule and everything. I'll shoot it to Laurie right now. Laurie and I can go over it between now and that meeting.
Sounds
So
good.
she's prepared to talk to them. Yeah. And meanwhile, we're going to work directly with the town on just making sure that the treasurer, everybody knows what's going on. But we didn't get a lot of, we weren't able to do this with a lot of lead time. We just have to jump on it.
I don't foresee a problem.
Okay.
The problem, we're gonna have people wait 3 weeks to get it.
Right, yeah.
So you have that now, Laurie.
Can you just a motion on
Do
that?
they get a paycheck for 1 week and then it resets and it's 2 weeks? I thought that's what I understood. I could be wrong.
I don't want to say that
It's
right
okay.
up. No one's going to have to wait longer
Yeah.
for money, but the way they break up the 2 payrolls, but just, we should read that together carefully.
I want to, because I want to be able to explain it
Yeah.
well. to my
I
staff.
just got this like basically
Yeah.
today I got it, because I was out for Monday and Tuesday while the team was putting out together the details. So I just wanna pass that to you.
Yeah.
And
I'll come in with
and we'll
questions
talk
on
tomorrow.
Thursday.
You're coming in tomorrow, right?
Thursday.
You're coming in Thursday, but I'll communicate with.
Yeah.
The communication will happen tomorrow.
Great.
And then the details, we'll look at how to communicate it to others on Thursday when we meet again.
Great.
But that's a big change,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all, in the interest of being compliant and making things work smoother in the future.
Do we need a motion on that?
No.
Okay. Okay, are you, is that good?
Finance set?
Okay, I would like a motion and a vote on the Burns Fund proposal. Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve it as presented.
okay.
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay. All right, facility maintenance report.
Yeah, that's me. I'm gonna get better at this, I promise.
It's tough. It's tough.
I know, I wish we could have somebody else
Okay.
do it, actually.
Her name is now SARS, by the way, but I'll fix it, I promise.
I know, it does that occasionally.
So we are in the process of painting rooms 12 and 27. I have no idea which ones those are, but I do know, actually, I know which rooms are being painted. This room right beside us where you always have your meetings, and then our new life skills room. And we are going to get into a system of painting 2 to 3 rooms per summer until they're all redone, and then it will be time to restart again. So we're going to be on that system, and everyone's on board. It sounds great. Waxing is done everywhere except in 1st grade and 2nd grade and 3rd and 4th, because that's where we have summer school. So we'll rip up they will rip up the floor and buff it out and re-wax it once the kids are gone. And then between Mark and Shane, Mark's gathering some bids and some people in construction who could possibly soundproof the office, because the principal's office hasn't been soundproof than it needs to be. And I think that's about it. Any questions about facilities?
So we get to tell the kids they can't hear you.
Yes. They're gonna be like, it's Mrs. Stiles, we can hear her.
I don't think there's any old business, is that correct?
Have anything over
New business?
there? You just did the
We already
Burns
did
thing.
that,
Have
and we
Burns
did,
and
oh,
I
sorry, I
don't-
didn't even see
No,
that
that's
down
okay.
there, and we've already approved,
I don't think you have anyone for this.
What's
one.
the staff nomination?
it's what we already did.
It'd be if we had, because we're still filling positions all over the
Teacher.
place, so it would be teaching positions or any ed techs or anything,
Yeah.
but we leave that on there kind of standing, just in case we find anything.
And wow, look at that, no policies.
Thank God.
Maybe you can just make a note to look at the field trip policy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
Do you want that on the next agenda? That's
Maybe
review.
for October or something, yeah. Long range planning. We had a meeting. Do you want to say anything? Great.
Sure. It's been a while since we've done an update to this group anyway, so I'll just sort of go over a whole number of things. We've met 4 times so far officially as a restructuring committee, Bristol and South Bristol, and built a lot of cohesiveness and understanding, I think, through all of the members. It's been kind of neat to see the 2 groups come together, I think, in their understanding of education in general, which is great. I think that was really, really important to have that understanding and that cohesiveness before we can legitimately talk about how to merge 2 districts where we had almost no understanding of each other's beliefs in terms of education and students. So that was really neat. Last meeting, we had a guest speaker who was able to come in and essentially tell us some of the experiences that he's had in forming an RSU or done dealing with DOE in particular, but a lot of other things. And we were able to ask a lot of questions and get some answers to many things. So that was very helpful, and he's agreed to come back or to answer questions either through email or whatever if we have further questions about that, budgeting in particular.
Who was the speaker?
I'm sorry?
Who was the individual?
Don Savitsky. I think you know him.
Yep.
So budgeting is going to be a lot of fun, I will say, with a capital F. But we have new budgets from Bristol and South Bristol as of last week. So I've been trying to work to combine those two things and to try to do some cost center per student expenditures in both schools, and we'll try to figure out where each other sort of spends our money, which is essentially where we value education. So that is in play. I've got a meeting set with Emil and Peter on August 8th to go over some other budget things, as well as potential ESC expenses as well for the coming year. So that will be what happens. We'll sort of go over those sort of documents at our next meeting, which hasn't been set yet. So I will send out something soon to them.
Thank you.
Questions?
I'm lost.
Did you guys did I miss anything?
What did the guest speaker say was the most difficult thing in amalgamating the two schools?
Honestly, it's sort of personalities and politics.
Mhm.
It's not governance. It's not contracts. It's not payroll. It's not.
So personalities and politics took precedent over the educational issues?
Correct.
And understanding
Well,
and
we've got
communicating
problems.
those, understanding and communicating the reasons why we're doing things
Yeah.
and reminding people that it is about education and kids and
Yeah.
families, but it can be hard when people are stuck in one set of beliefs.
I think that's what I took away from what he was saying, is this is where there was a stumbling block, and it's not a stumbling block we should ever not move past. We should just keep moving forward, but the way to do that is to be vocal about what is going on and just continue to say it's in the best interest of students. We are doing this because it's in the best interest, as long as it really is.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, that was it. It was,
Yeah, but you have to say how it's in the best interest of
Yes,
students.
yeah.
You know,
yes, absolutely.
it's-
yes, agreed.
Otherwise, you're gonna talk forever and never get to the beef.
Right.
Right? Okay, I'm just, I'm listening. I have a question, but it might sound a little ignorant. Every year we have a big annual meeting at the school. You present the big budget, gets approved, right? Does all the money that funds the school come from the town, or is there a state?
So in that budget, you have a revenue line for the state subsidy.
Okay.
It's not a lot, it's about maybe 10% of your budget.
10%.
Actually, maybe 7% of your budget.
Right.
888 this year?
188 of almost 3 million.
Right.
That's not even 7%. So you have a small subsidy.
So what stops us from?
Well, I'll just finish so you have the information. You also get a small amount of money, maybe I'm guessing $45,000 or something in title funds from the federal government to pay for some things that you have, Title I, Title II. Other than that, in this town, you're unique. You have the Burns Fund, the Stratton Fund to tap into. Most places in the state don't have anything like that.
Right.
And then every once in a while, some little grant will pop up, whether it's Efficiency Maine or the Island Institute, kind of helped out with the Efficiency Maine thing. Little things will pop up. But ultimately, 95% of your budget, if not more, 95% of your budget is your general fund taxpayer funded budget.
Oh, okay. I think it's interesting. Our taxes are very low, but all of a sudden they've gone up a fair percentage, right? 30, 40%?